Bosh, we are back, ladies and gents, live and direct on this fine Wednesday evening, and we're back with the gang again. So let's go round the table and say hellos. So, Wes, hello, my friend. How's it like being the big 3-0?
Oh, I tell you what, if it's anything like it was Saturday night, rough is the honest answer. Because yeah, that was a good night. But no, it's all good. It's all good. Kind of just waiting, I guess, for proper football, if you like, to come back. Because I don't know about many people, I quite like my beauty sleep. So this Club World Cup, these kickoff times are not ideal. And even the under 21s Euros, again, it's not massively ideal. But yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for everything to kind of kick back off, if you like. So no, we've got a good show though tonight, so I'm looking forward to it.
We do. We have a lot to talk about. I feel like we have a lot to talk about every week. It's nice. It's different things each week, which is great. And Nelson, it's great to have you back on. How are you?
All good, thank you, Holly. It was actually a pleasure also to meet you, obviously, on a weekend. So now the gang have actually got together. This is more cohesive. Nobody can destroy this unit. So yeah, good to be back and to
I'm
talk
gonna,
all things football.
tell my kids that we're Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe, by the way.
I like it. I like it. But no, yeah, it was good fun at the weekend. Good fun. Like you say, to actually meet each other in the flesh for once rather than over the screen every Wednesday. It was really nice. But like I say, this show is always sponsored by the amazing Kofa. So where's far away. 100%. So make sure you go check out Kofa if you are in the MK kind of world over there. I must say, like I say, it was a lot of roundabouts, but it doesn't matter. It was good fun to meet you guys in the flesh. But yeah, like I say, welcome to everybody that's tuned in as well. Love to see you all here. But obviously, we have got a lot to talk about on the show tonight because it was Wednesday Fun Day today because Wes, the fixtures got announced. And to be fair, I have got Arsenal's fixtures up first. So Nelson, I'm going to let you fire away first because we always start with Tottenham. So I'm going to let you run through your kind of
Cool.
first thoughts, obviously playing Man United first game of the season.
Um, I mean, as you know, Martin Tyler would say, and it's live. Like that is a good way to start. I think the weekend for many neutrals. I think for Arsenal, I think, in my opinion, I think is really cool within the first 10 games of the season if you get the top six out of the way, because that way you can actually focus on making a run. Because I think it's very hard. I mean, I'm actually quite happy with our fixtures. I think when you look at December is obviously the hardest month with the amount of games between midweek fixtures. Normally, we used to have a curse with February, but February's fixtures are looking good. I'm not saying that because you lot are in there as well, but I think February's fixtures are looking good. I think where it's going to be very tough is in between. Is April. As you can see, we've got Man City and Newcastle at the end of April. So if Arsenal are going to compete for the title next season, those two games in particular, depending on where City and Newcastle are as well in the season, whether they're playing for top four, whether City are playing for the title, that's going to be pivotal. Because if we can get past that sort of fire in April, then I'm looking at the last four fixtures of the season, and if I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm actually feeling very excited for those last four games. Now, obviously, that is just on paper. We know the Premier League is full of surprises, so anything could happen as well. I mean, you look back to Liverpool's crazy title collapse back in 2014, I believe. Like that happened against Palace. 3-3. These things can happen in football. So, as an Arsenal fan on paper, especially towards the back end of the next season, you're thinking if we can stay in the title race those last four games, could prove pivotal. But I think I like the mixture of games. Me personally, I prefer getting rid of the top six out in the first kind of 10 fixtures, because obviously then you play them early as well. Coming into the new year, you get rid of them. But there's always one kind of date that I'm always looking forward to, which we'll speak about a bit later. So yeah, Holly, I'm kind of happy with our fixtures. I'm not sure what other Arsenal fans are feeling like, but me personally, I'm kind of happy with how things have kind of been put out for this year.
I was going to say, we always look for those two fixtures every time they come out. We will talk about them in a minute, but I'm going to go to Wes to obviously talk about our kind of fixtures as well. You know what? I thought I'd just mix it up this week and just ask Nelson first, because I always ask Wes first.
Yeah.
So, Wes, it's your turn now. What have you made of those fixtures? I'm going to zoom in a bit, because even though I've got my glasses on, I can't see. There we go.
Yeah, so I'm looking at our fixtures. I'm actually relatively pleased with the sort of mix that we've got. Although saying that, I would have preferred, personal preference here, I would have preferred Burnley away in August than towards the end of January, because Nelson will know Burnley in January is absolutely Baltic. And most people that know me know that is like my favourite away day. So the fact that I've got to look forward to that in January. Yeah, I'm not. Well, I say I've got it to look forward to. I haven't, because, like I say, Burnley's Baltic. But yeah, I think I'll run in coming in towards the back end of the season. I look at April. There's some nicer fixtures in there. I think May looks tricky, because I have a feeling all of those four teams in May are going to have something to play for, or especially with Chelsea away, they're going to stop us from doing something. Like Chelsea just have this thing where if they've got nothing to play for, let's just stop Tottenham doing anything, really. I look at like November, that looks tricky. February looks tricky as well. So I mean, there's no easy games in the Prem, and I get that you kind of play everybody twice, but I just have a feeling we might be a little bit sort of stop start in the sense of what we do this season. I feel like it's going to be one of them. I feel like this year, when I've seen like teams fixtures, it's probably the only year where I've gone, do you know what? It's going to be so hard for every team in the Premier League to build and gain momentum, like as the season goes on. But no, I think on the whole, there's quite a nice balance between our fixtures, which is good. Obviously, like I say, bar November and February, where they do come pretty thick, pretty fast, and it's back to back. I think also the month to look out. Well, February is the month to look out for as well, because of our Champions League exploits and what we do there. If we don't finish in the top 8, I believe we have the playoffs for the last 16 in the Champions League, in and around or sandwiched in between that Arsenal game. So that's going to be interesting to see, obviously, what happens there. But no, listen, we start at home, we finish at home, both of those games in the sunshine. Beers.
I like the sound of that. That sounds like a bit of me. But no, when I first looked at it, I thought November and February as well were the hardest months. Because obviously, as well, Nelson, in November time, we have a little, a North London derby to kind of look forward to / stress about. So how are you feeling about playing us in November?
Well, if you know me very well, I'm actually jealous that you guys get to start at home and finish at home. I think, especially if you're a team that's competing, or just someone like within the top 6, you always want to finish your season at home. So if we were to win something, then you would want to present that to the fans on the very last day of the season. But that game in November, I'm very annoyed that we actually have to play you guys at home first. I hate that aspect. Last season was perfect because we played you guys away within the first probably 10 to 12 games. And that for me was perfect because we knew coming back to the end, the back end of the season, we play you at home. So I'm annoyed this time around this season that we have to come to you first and then play you guys away. That as well in November time could definitely shift things. If we're competing for the title, like I mentioned, you guys winning 3 points at home could definitely alter our momentum heading into the title race. And also for you guys, whether you're fighting for top 4, like if you're trying to be in that improve from last season, then obviously there's all sorts to play for. And we know it's 2 cup finals at the end of the day. So come, I think the next fixture come February time, like Wes said, obviously depending whether you guys have the playoff spots, we could obviously be in that playoff spot as well as Arsenal, being, if we don't make it out of the top 8 in the league phase. So it could be a very interesting one come February as well, depending on, what, fronts we're fighting for.
Definitely. And how about you as well, Wes? Are you kind of feeling the same way, as it's nice to play Arsenal at home at the end?
Yeah, no, I always prefer it. I'm a bit like Nelson in the sense that I'd always prefer to kind of go away first and then play the home game second, if that makes sense. I always feel like, our record at the Emirates, as every Spurs fan knows, is absolutely abysmal. So I'm kind of glad that we're away first, because then it gives us the rest of the season to kind of get over it. Whereas if we have to go to, it's like, oh, well, we've already played them twice. And then we have to kind of stew on it a little bit longer. Like I say, the fact that if we do get a positive result at the Emirates, I think majority of Spurs fans will be really, really happy. But then it's the fact that regardless of where both teams kind of sit, they have to come to us, and we could potentially do something to derail their season at that time. They could do something to potentially derail our season at that time as well. So I think that February game is going to be really juicy, really spicy. But no, I prefer to go to the Emirates first and then bring them back to N17. I always prefer it around maybe like when the weather's better is probably what I'm going to say. Sort of April time's usually a good one. Obviously in and around my dad's birthday is usually great. But yeah, I usually kind of like one where, we're in the sun. A North London derby with a bit of sunshine usually gets the juices flowing a little bit more. But yeah, like I say, I prefer to go away first and then bring them back later on in the season.
Good shout. And obviously talking about juices flowing, we do also have lots of different, you can see I've nicked this from Michael Bridge. We do also have a lot of derbies that are coming up.
Crop the image there, Holly. Any chance here?
No, I can't do 2 things at once. That's my problem. Hang on. Bear with. While I crop it, Nelson, what are your thoughts on obviously having a few more derbies this season?
Oh, splendid. The one that I'm looking forward to, as you guys know, we spoke about off the air, is the Tyne-Wear Derby. I think for nostalgia, for those who love the Premier League, the Tyne-Wear Derby has brought a lot of memorable moments. As you know, your old boy, we had a chat about this. Me and Wes, another member of Wes's family, we had a chat about strikers on the weekend, and I mentioned that I'm a very personal fan of Jermaine Defoe. So obviously, speaking about Tyne-Wear Derby and some of the best finishes that we've seen in that fixture, his volley for me stands out. Outrageous left foot, weak foot shot that's gone into the top bins. So just seeing that, and I think that it is one of the few derbies alongside our derby, because I still think our derby is number 1 in the league. But I think the Tyne-Wear Derby brings a lot of passion to the game. Those sets of fans, one club, they just love their clubs and they will die for their clubs. So I think just seeing the support and just seeing the stadium, I'm not sure if it's still called a Stadium Light, but seeing their stadium back in the Premier League as well, just for those kind of fixtures, even when they play teams against the top 6. I think for those who, I've just grown up watching Sunderland and just seeing Sunderland play. So for me, that is the one I'm looking forward to, apart from the North London Derby next season. Leeds, having them back in the league is great. Ellen Road for me, I think if you're talking about the best fans in the country, I think Leeds is up there for me, top 5 in the country. So seeing them back in the country will be really good. And also, I think the Merseyside Derby is an intriguing one because Everton will be playing in their new ground as well for the Merseyside Derby. So I think we, as North London fans, can understand when you have your first derby in your new place, the air is a bit different. It's not the same as a White Hart Lane or a Highbury where you have that aura. So we'll see what the Toffee fans do on that day come April. But I do think it will be a wonderful atmosphere. And then you have all the other rubbish derbies that I don't really want to mention and stuff. Like we Northwest, like forget all of that. And the Manchester Derby, whether or not United are competing this season for something, I think those are just kind of cakewalks for Liverpool and City in those kind of derbies. So United for me, there's no interest. I would love Leeds to do a double. If Leeds do a double with United, just for any fans, that would be amazing. But for me, Holly, out of the pick of the bunch, the Tyne-Wear derby is my favourite one to look forward to.
It's going to be a good one. It's funny you mentioned, because obviously when I said this in earlier, I didn't actually take note of the other ones. I just, like you said, noticed the Sunderland, Newcastle one, R1, and the Merseyside one. Wes, what have you made of obviously the derbies, the teams coming back up, etc., etc.?
Yeah, I think I'm looking more at the dates here, and that Sunderland Newcastle game not long before Christmas, that's going to set some juices flowing. That, I reckon, pardon the pun, that's going to be a bit of a Christmas cracker, if you like. And Nelson was spot on. I think that both sets of fans of those clubs are so passionate, like they despise one another. We're talking to the point where they won't have the opposite colour in households because it represents that team and that club. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. The Merseyside derby, especially at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, I think Everton's new one's called. That one, I have a feeling the Evertonian fans in particular are really going to turn up for that one. In a similar way, I guess, to how we created that atmosphere for the first North London derby with fans, like a full stadium in a couple of years ago. With when the Conte era, like that was a special night. That was a special atmosphere, and I have a feeling that the Evertonians are going to create that. I mean, they might do it all season, especially that first game, but that first Merseyside derby, mate, them tickets are going to be like gold dust, because effectively you want to be there at that game to say I was at the first Merseyside derby, like regardless kind of how that result goes. And I think that's coming at a crucial time in the season, potentially for both teams. I look at, obviously we anticipate that Liverpool, especially with the transfer business that they're going to do or have done already, are going to be bang up there, and it could be one of them. Could Everton spoil that party effectively, and put a dent in a potential title charge? The other interesting date that I have in mind here is Leeds versus Manchester United, because it's January the 3rd. Now, for those football nostalgics amongst us, January the 3rd is a date that is almost etched in Leeds' history, because there was an FA Cup tie on January the 3rd where Jermaine Beckford famously scored at Old Trafford. So that is going to definitely get sung about by the Leeds fans on that day. Obviously, I hope they keep that date for that reason. Obviously, it could get moved for TV purposes, but I hope they keep it to that date. Maybe move the kickoff time, but keep it to that date, because, like I say, that date for Leeds fans is so special, because they were like massive club in League One at the time, fairly stint, but still had a huge following. And the fact that they were in League One, beat Man United, who were under Fergie's stewardship at the time, it was absolutely huge for Leeds. And it's a great away day as well, Leeds. If anybody watching or listening has had the opportunity to go, then you'll know what I mean. And if you haven't yet, try your best to go to Ellen Road, because once you're in that stadium, you understand, like, yeah, this is a special place to play football, and you can understand like the history behind Leeds United and how big of a football club they actually are, like within this country and probably worldwide. So Nelson was right, to see them back in the Prem again is great. And yeah, again, I agree with Nelson. I think City will, mate, I don't know if anybody saw their lineup for the Club World Cup earlier today, but that midfield and front line was a joke. So imagine what they can put out against United, and half of them were, squad players that City were putting out. So yeah, and I think again, I see Liverpool doing something, but then again, that going to Old Trafford in May, again, can United do something? They want to potentially spoil a party, but obviously the best derby in the league is the North London derby. We all know that it has a little bit of everything. You usually get a scrap as well, which I anticipate in the Tyne-Wear derby as well. So yeah, looking forward to all these derbies this year, that's for sure.
It's definitely going to be an exciting one. And like I say, I'm buzzing now for the season to start. I was going to talk about a certain someone releasing an interview, but I don't want to set you off again, Wes. So I think I'm going to leave it, and you can go away and watch it in your own time, and I won't have to ask you any questions. Might leave that one maybe till next week or the week after. But we're going to move on and talk about obviously transfers. Now, Nelson, obviously. You know me. I only do my transfers on Tottenham, and I know I've
Yeah.
done a little bit of homework this week because
Oh,
last week you talk about Sesko, but it seems to be that transfers are kind of that it's going along a bit more. It seems that it's not here we go yet, but it's slowly getting there. What I know you mentioned about Sesko last week, but would you be over the moon if that deal actually goes through the line? And do you think it will do?
yeah, I think personal terms have been agreed. I think a German outlet had posted it today, and it is encouraging news for Arsenal fans. Just because when you look at, like Wes mentioned it last week when we talked about City, they've got what, 3 or 4 already in the bank, and especially another thing that we don't give credit for is, I mean, who knows whether or not they're bribing people with the business that they're doing, but the amount of money that they can pay for these players, that you got Ryan Cherky for less than what, 40 million. It's absolutely outrageous how much value, or sorry, how much they're getting for these players. I remember Riyad Mahrez way back, who obviously was had a great career at City. Like, we're talking what's less than 60 million. Like, it's just outrageous how City do their business. So as an Arsenal fan, you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, well, City have done this, how can we respond? And it's nice to know that, Benjamin Sesko could be over the line. But for me, all these rumors don't bother me. As long as I see a transfer announcement, like from the club, like to say that we've bought this player and you see them in red, that's all that matters to any fan, because all this chitter chatter is just really boring at the end of the day. Because I know our club, I know the history we have. We always have rumors flowing about. We always are connected to people. Like, Arsene Wenger can make a bloody 11 of the people that he could have bought, and it probably would have won 5 leagues in a row. But we don't care about that. We need the striker. He could be the answer. Whether or not he is the answer, we'll find out. And I think it is very encouraging. I think they've gone for the younger, striker in Sesko rather than Gyökeres. Even though for me, Gyökeres looks more of the finished product, I think Arteta has seen more of the future, and I think the Arsenal board, considering that they've given him a lot of time to build what he has done at the club, I think Sesko is the right investment. Whether or not it turns out, we'll have to wait and see. But it is encouraging news, Holly. So hopefully, if I'm talking to you, we're back here next week, we can say that he's over the line.
Definitely. Obviously, for you guys' sake, that would be lovely. But for us, Wes, again, we know we've spoken about that they need someone up top. But for us, we have got a player in the shirt already. It's a little bit of a cop out because obviously it was looking like it was going to happen anyway. But Tell is over the line. He is a permanent at Spurs. What did you make of the signing?
Yeah, when they say like never fall in love with a lone player, I fell in love with effectively 2 lone players in January, in Kevin Danso and Matthias Tell. Tell just got it, and what I liked was he took responsibility for somebody who's like 19, 20 years of age to take responsibility to go and speak to fans and be like, look, stay with us. We're going to need you, that kind of thing. And we're like, mate, this brother's on loan. Like, where's the senior dons in the group? Like, get your backsides over to that away end at Fulham and have a word. So I like the fact that he, as a character, he wants to be stood up and be counted for. He's a player for me that you have to go and watch live to appreciate what he can do and what he does. Because I think if you watch him on TV, you'll be like, where's the hype? Where's the excitement? But like I say, when you see him live, he's a different animal. I like his movement. I like the way he attacks defenders. And I think it's a really shrewd bit of business. We paid probably 35 million euros potentially. I think for somebody with that level of potential, and it is potential at this stage, because of his age, I think could turn out to be a very shrewd bit of business. I think we obviously need a few more in the building, don't get me wrong, but yeah, to obviously get Kev on a permanent as well, which was I'm really, really happy about. But yeah, Matthias Tell coming in, I'm really, really happy with that. He looks a real threat and a real live wire at the top end of the pitch. He's unpredictable as well, which is what you need from wide players, in particular in that final third. you want to have that. Well, what's he going to do? And I think that's going to make him really hard to play against. I think he needs to do a bit of work as a 9, but for me, his best position is a what we would class as a number 11. So off that left hand side, I think that's where he's going to do his damage. And yeah, I'm just happy that he's signed. To be fair.
We've definitely got a bit more business to do. I think both clubs have. But like I say, that's all we've kind of got in the shirt so far. So I'm hoping over the next couple of weeks it kind of racks up a little bit more. But we're going to divert off a little bit. We're going to talk about the WSL because, Nelson, there was some big news a couple of days ago in terms of the kind of the restructuring of the league and how things will happen going forward. What do you kind of make of it and kind of explain it to people that haven't really heard the news as such?
Yeah, Holly. It's a very good bit of, I wouldn't say business, but it's just progression. And this is what we've wanted to see in a WSL for a very long time. And I was wondering why it didn't happen anytime soon. But now that it's happened for, heading into I think season 2026, 27, I think it's really nice to have, an expansion to 14. And I think if we in 10 years time we're potentially looking at the WSL potentially having a full 20 team league, which is encouraging for young girls that want to have pathways to become professionals, the actual competition, the quality of the competition that we'll have in the country. It's just really, really good to see.
Oh.
Oh no. Oh
Them,
no.
this is an encouraging sign to know that okay, there's more spaces available. We could be that next team to fill those slots. So it is very exciting to see that happen.
He's back. He's not back.
Oh, he's forgot to pay his Wi-Fi bill. Bless him. Oh.
No, to be fair, what's bad?
Sorry.
Oh, he's back. Is he back? Is he back?
No, I'm back. I'm back.
He's back. He's
Basically, I was just saying great progression. I think it improves the quality of competition as well. And I was saying that teams in the lower divisions in the WSL2, as well as the National League, can look at those empty slots and be like, we can fill those slots. And it just is very good for young girls as well, because it means that you have more teams available for young girls to play for. And it's just very good for women's football moving forward in this country in particular. So I am very much happy to see that. And we'll have to wait and see. I'm just going to stop right there just in case I suddenly fly away to another planet and freeze. But I have a lot more to say about Holly. But yeah, it's just very good to see. And I'm very happy that, we've got 14 teams now in the next 2 seasons. I know there's a lot with the relegation as well and the playoff that's been mentioned as well. And they've also adapted that. But I'll give it up to Wes because his Wi-Fi might not cut.
To be fair, we have got you. We can hear you. Your face is just a bit frozen on the screen, but it's a sort of smiley one, so you're all right. But Wes, obviously there is that progression in terms of what Nelson was talking about, but also this relegation and promotion, which we haven't really had in the WSL as much as the way it's been redone, and as well because I know lots of people were talking about the fact that they were talking about not having it at all and just allowing the WSL to grow a bit more before they kind of allowed the relegation thing. But I think it's good that they are implementing it.
Yeah, no, I think also Nelson's face looks like he's just seen Arsenal finish second in the league again when it was froze. But no, I think obviously coming back to WSL, I think it's great. I think it's going to give those at the top of football clubs now, I think they should be looking at it going, this is potentially over the next couple of years, the time to invest properly. Because it's like, if you don't, the implications of that could be fatal in the sense of we could get relegated. I know if I look at Tottenham, for example, very fortunate last season not to go down in a similar way to the men, really. But obviously that we've made a change with that coach as well. But I think now having 2 relegation spots, 2 promotion spots, I think that competition now is going to be fierce and it's going to make things really competitive between those top 2 divisions. I like the playoff idea. It kind of screams a little bit Scottish football in this because they have it implemented within their football pyramid. But I like it. It creates a bit of carnage and a bit of chaos. And as a football fan, you like a bit of carnage and you like a bit of chaos. I'd love it for the WSL2 to get in a place almost similar to the EFL championships where you have that proper kind of playoff system. But listen, time will tell, and I think I'd love to see the women's game get there. I really would, and I'm saying that because I've worked with a lot of female players, coaching wise over the years, and I know the sort of struggle that they have to go through, and I'm sure you've been through it as well, Holly. And I just want to see them girls obviously do really well in their football, but I want them to, and the ones that I've worked with, to aspire to be like, yeah, I can make it. I can, if I want to, progress and be a full-time footballer. Because that wasn't a thing when I grew up. That was not a thing. Like if a girl played football, you were like, oh my god, they got a girl playing for him, type of thing. Whereas I think that stereotype is slowly, very slowly, I have to add, dying away. But obviously, when I do football camps, the boys still don't trust the girls. I think that's gonna be there for us for until we're old and grey, type of thing. Which for me isn't too long now. But yeah, I think it's a good thing for women's football, and I think, like I mentioned earlier, now is the time, I think, for those at the top to invest in playing squads, facilities. They are the big two. If we can get that infrastructure right, then I think the women's game is in a really, really good place. You look at the crowds that the Lionesses are getting. You want to just filter that now into the club game, and get more people involved and build those attendances. But I think women's game in general is going in a really good place. It's a fantastic step, and bring it on for 26, 27 is what I say.
Oh yes, I think that's the thing as well, because obviously I haven't played football properly. I say properly. I played with my sister's team a few times, but when I was playing football at a higher level in the Hampshire League, say for example, there was only 3 ever divisions, and then you had Southern Regions, then you had the National League, and then you had WSL2, WS1. And now in Hampshire, you've got 6 or 7 different leagues with 11 teams in it, which is mental to think. So it is definitely coming on leaps and bounds. But no, so I
Are
did.
you flexing that you were a baller once, Holly? Like we've all had trials.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
We've all had
flexing.
trials. We've all
No,
had
I
trials.
do. I do feel that I I gave football up because I wasn't enjoying it as much anymore. But I think it was because as well I was now working full time and
Mm.
I couldn't commit to both. It was too draining. Which is probably a story for a lot of people as
So
well.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But it is what it is. But
yeah.
I'm
And you
so
mentioned that, Holly. Sorry to jump in, but I've
no, go
literally
for it.
just had that with somebody that I know who, obviously, you saw my Wimbledon kits at the weekend. So I was in the academy at Wimbledon and Centre of Excellence with him, and he got promoted to the National League North, I think was their allocation, with Bedford Town. And he scored a hatful of goals like you wouldn't believe, absolute 30 bagsman. But he can't commit now to that level of travelling. So he's had to leave Bedford Town, obviously with work and that travel. The midweek games he could be getting in at, say, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then having to do a full day shift. So he's had to drop down, and sign for Kettering, which isn't the worst drop in the world, but it's still a drop. But it's so he can obviously be a bit more present with his family. And yeah, if his goal record's anything to go by, listen, mate, show me the Benjamins, baby, because he's gonna be well doed in. Let me tell you. But yeah, I fully get what you mean in terms of having to commit to that full time work and playing effectively part time as well.
And I think as well, they get to a point where I think to myself, I'm not going to make it big time. I might as well try and do my career in terms of like, well, it is marketing now, but it comes that kind of crossroads, sadly. But hopefully, Nelson, now with the WSL and them kind of not rebranding as such, but changing it up, we'll see more girls kind of following that kind of natural progression and following their dreams, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had the privilege, thanks to Wes, to be able to coach a couple of female players at the camps. And also, Wes was also another person that, well, the same person who allowed me to go to America and see like what it's like to coach. I mentioned America, but just because their female presence is huge because of the success of the national team, and just being out there and seeing the growth of the women's game has just been fantastic. So the pathways that we've got here back in the country, and you mentioning the fact that now that there's all these different leagues just for young girls, I think it's brilliant. Another thing I'd hopefully would like to see is, I know there is an academy league. We have it in the men's game, and it
Mm.
would be nice to see one implemented for the women's, because when you're trying, I think it's quite difficult when you go online to find information about women's academies. That's something that I've done in my time, just to find out and look if I can liaise with contacts and stuff like that. But it's quite hard, especially if you're a young girl. It's more of who you know to get into those academies. But when you're looking for information and stuff online, it's quite hard. So I'm hoping that academies is something that can be built over time, and then you have professional leagues for the academies, and then the introduction of other cups that the men's games have. Like, I've noticed the other day, the KDB Cup for all the youth teams out there. It would just be nice to see those kind of little things being implemented in women's game. So because I think once you have that clear path, we know it's always academy and then straight into first team, but if there's an actual clear path for young girls to see after playing for grassroots, I think that would be another positive step in the right direction. But it's great. It's just great. Wes is going to touch on something. I can see his hand there.
Yeah.
Go on, Wes.
So there was a change in the girls' pathway, I want to say a good few years ago now. So you had your RTCs, your regional talent centres, and they were tiered based off of, I guess, facilities, what you could offer, etc. So that was probably that was arguably the female version of the EPPP, which is in the boys' academy system right now. So obviously, for those that don't know EPPP, all clubs effectively sign up for it. You get audited every 3 years, I believe, based off of your facilities and what you can offer a player. So I know there's been a few moves around in the last, I think this summer. So you'll have your Cat 1s, which are typically like the big hitters. Then you got your Cat 2s, which are sort of mid range, and then Cat 3s in there, and also Cat 4s. But I don't think many have signed up to Cat 4, which Cat 4 is basically you have like a 23s and then your first team, that's it. Whereas everywhere else you get a pathway basically up from under sevens right the way through. And then that dictates your games program. The girls was the RTCs, and it was great. It was brilliant. And everyone knew where they stood within the game. And I'm going to say externally for me, because I wasn't in it, so to speak. But if anybody asked me what an RT, I could say, bang, it's that straight away. Now they changed it to an ETC and then an academy, and it's confused the life out of so many people. So many parents will sign their kids up for trials, and they go, well, I've been offered this, but what is it? And I'm like, well, I'm not in it, so I don't really know. But based off of what I know, it's probably this. And they go, right, okay. So I think your ETCs allow girls to train and have some games with a club, but they can also play grassroots football, and they also stipulate to play for a boys team in there as well, which makes life really difficult and really complicated, let me tell you. Up until a certain age, I think it's around the under 12s mark, it then goes into full academy, and then you would play other academy, so to speak. But yeah, they should have kept the RTCs because it was probably the most similar. From the girls' perspective, it was the most similar thing to the boys with the EPPP, which came in from the Premier League, I want to say in around 2011.
No, it is interesting. Like I say, I'm glad that they've sorted out the WSL, and hopefully that will trickle down. Like you say, because I can't remember. I only remember representing like counties and stuff. We never actually did like
Check you out, you
academies.
baller. Go
I know,
on.
I might as
Go
well
on.
now, innit? But no, like I say, that's long gone behind me now. I'll just do a kickabout now and again. But you know what? It's exciting times. We've got the Premier League coming up. We've got all these fixtures to look forward to. We've got more derbies, that Sunderland Newcastle one, to get our teeth into next season, and obviously good things in the WSL. But you know what? We'll go around the table, say our goodbyes. It's been a short and sweet episode tonight, but I've enjoyed it. So first of all, Nelson, great to have you back on, my friend. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Yes, Holly, thank you again for another great episode. You guys can find me on Instagram at nnatumba25. That's N, my last name, Natumba, and 25 on Instagram.
Bosh. Lovely stuff. And Wes as well, where can everybody find you too?
Yeah, so it's Twitter's at Wezo10 unofficial, Musa Dembele / Kevin Danso fan account for this upcoming season. That is anyway. Yeah, used to tweet things about, the best baller to grace the Baller League, by the way. And I'm throwing that one out there because everybody was so gassed to see him playing at Baller League last Thursday. I very nearly had to cancel some plans to try and go, but I probably wouldn't have been here if I did cancel those plans. And then Instagram's at Weze32. Yeah, Spurs season ticket holder this year. Great fun. So yeah, we'll more than likely be at a Spurs home game at some points, obviously throughout the season. And then anything football coaching related is Kickoff Football Academy or at Kofa MK across your socials. So that is a wrap from me.
Lovely, jubbly. That concludes obviously tonight's episode. I am on holiday next week, so it depends if the boys want to do a show or not. I'll let them decide and fight it out after this one. But like I say, thanks to everybody that's watching. Do really appreciate it. And like we always say, until next time, go on you Spurs.
Go on you Spurs.